Will Stein is expected to become the new head coach at Kentucky. Let's talk about what this means for the Wildcats, what this means for the Oregon Ducks, who are once again looking at trying to play for a national championship, win 4 games this time instead of just 3, but to do it with a lame duck offensive coordinator. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching Adapt and Respond, thank you for joining us here. We talk college football year round. If you're into that, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this video, answer the question in the comments below. Do you think Will Stein is going to turn around Kentucky football after years of Mark Stoops and being a cellar dweller and inept in the SEC? I think this is a great hire. I think this is Will Stein going back home to his home state, place where he set records as a quarterback, although he is coaching his alma mater's arch nemesis. Remember, Stein went to Louisville, and at Louisville became a really great player, not a great quarterback, but a great player for Louisville, and ended up being a good grad assistant and essentially became one of the best up-and-coming offensive coordinators in the entire country. I got to give a lot of credit to Jeff Traylor at UTSA for identifying him at Texas as an offensive assistant and then giving that dude the reins as a play caller at UTSA. And my goodness, did he ever turn out some monsters? I cannot say enough about what I like about Will Stein and that team with Frank and Sincere. And I mean, Sincere McCormick, some of y'all just don't remember that dude was goated. Like I love watching him play ball. Jeff Traylor is also a scary judge of talent. Lost Will Stein to Oregon when Dan Lanning lost Kenny Dillingham to Arizona State. And it's been nothing but a great hire. I mean, we're talking about turning out not just Dylan Gabriel last year, but Bo Nix in a year where Bo Nix is going from one offense coordinator to another, still put up outstanding numbers. Dylan Gabriel quarterbacked that team to a number 1 ranking, number 1 seed in the college football playoff, win against Ohio State in a Big Ten championship. This year, they got the loss to Indiana, boxed them out of the Big Ten championship, so they won't defend it. But they are a shoo-in, along with Ole Miss and A&M and Oklahoma, for that matter, for the college football playoff. And when this job came open, it almost seemed like they had the guy already lined up for it, because you're looking at Mark Stoops being asked the question on Saturday night if he's going to walk away. And he's like, I'm not walking away. As far as I understand, I'm going to be here tomorrow and the next day. And that was very clearly an indication that you're going to have to fire me. I'm not giving up the job. And they did, to the tune of $38 million in a buyout, along with Jonathan Smith at Michigan State, who's been replaced by Pat Fitzgerald at Michigan State. We're looking at damn near $70 million in buyout money, so you can go hire the next guy. And I think in hiring Will Stein, you've hired the opposite of Mark Stoops, who is an old generation, defensive-minded head coach, put out some pretty great defenses, never could get the offense to really come online or be on track. Even when it felt like to the NFL, he had some pretty great players from time to time. Been really good at taking all Alabama and Georgia castoffs, but not really producing the kind of season that you would expect at Kentucky, given the kind of resources that they have. Now, I realize that Kentucky is a basketball school, but that is until football becomes good. And I think Will Stein turns Kentucky into a winner. You're going to be looking at Kentucky football the way that you look at Vanderbilt football. And let's not get it twisted. He can do that at a place like Kentucky. All he's got to do is land the quarterback. There will be some jucking and jiving for some quarterbacks in the transfer portal. Among them, we already know that there's been a quiet nudge of perhaps watching QB1 at Nebraska, Dylan Raiola, end up going in the portal. I don't know that that's a great fit for the kind of offense that Will Stein wants to run, but it could be. He's been really good at being balanced. They run the football incredibly well at Oregon. He goes for it, and he's given one of the more fantastic clinics that I have seen in quite some time. I wrote a bigger piece about Will Stein at Fox Sports earlier this year as they were getting ready to play Penn State. And one of the things that I noted about him is just how much of a player's coach that he is. He would tell other coaches in his clinics, look, we design the playbook and the scheme to take advantage of what the defense is giving us, sure, and to create mismatches, but mismatches for our playmakers. If we got a playmaker wide receiver who's walking up to me going, coach, give me the ball, it's probably a guy who's earned that opportunity, who's shown you that in practice and shown you that in past games, that he deserves this opportunity to go make a play. And you get an opportunity to give it to him, even if it's just a little 5-yard out or a bubble screen. You're going to feed that guy, keep him on track for what you might need down the line. Or he might take your little tunnel screen all the way to the house. He might be the guy that takes an end around, makes 4 or 5 people miss, and gets you to the end zone because he's got that kind of ability. And I think that's the kind of guy that he's recruited to Oregon, to Corian Moore, wide receiver. Dante Moore, who sat for a year, has come out and been a great quarterback for them. He's not going to be a Heisman finalist, but he's in that second tier, mostly because he takes care of the football. Like, that was really his problem at UCLA. He threw the football to other people. Then you got other guys that he's just turned out in years past that I think are great, and guys that in this year, like for instance, Malik Benson has become a really great dude, punt returning, wide receiving, just combo threat for them. They've done all this without Evan Stewart too, which I think is important to note. I also think that Noah Whittington becoming your quasi RB1 in a backfield that goes 3 and even 4 deep, it's also an opportunity for him to maybe pick off a few players from that Oregon roster. Like Mekhi Hughes asked to redshirt this year. Maybe that's a guy that you want to build your running attack around in Kentucky. I think he could do it. He's just got a John Mateer problem. He hasn't done it to big numbers against power 4 opponents. He's done it against group 6 opponents. And we've seen what that looks like for John Mateer. Maybe Will Stein can coach that out or come up with a scheme that fits that dude a little bit better. I think in the immediate future, though, you have to answer the question, if you're Oregon, do we want Will Stein to continue to be our offensive coordinator and play caller through this college football playoff run? It's gone a number of ways, right? As we've seen James Madison, who's going to get coached by Bob Chesney into this Sun Belt Championship, being next head coach at UCLA. Eric Morris, who's going to coach in the American Championship as head coach at North Texas, going to be next head coach at Oklahoma State. John Summerall, same difference at Tulane, going to Florida, going to coach a championship team. All three of those teams have opportunities to play in the college football playoff. Oregon is playing in the college football playoff. Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin, hello, same difference, right? It's how are you going to leave that place, and what does Dan Lanning think about all this? I think knowing that you're going to be the next head coach somewhere else does not mean you're going to do a bad job of coaching the team that you're already a part of. And I think it's a little bit different from a coordinator to head coach as opposed to head coach to head coach. Asking a head coach to coach your team when he's clearly coaching another team now, I think that's maybe a bridge too far given the climate, especially if you don't leave it well. But that, again, can happen at James Madison. I take that back. I think it can happen depending on the demeanor of your coach. Like, before Lane Kiffin decided to do what he did and the way that he did it, I was for Lane Kiffin coaching Ole Miss through its championship run, or what I think is going to be a run through the postseason that could end in a championship, say it that way. But the way he purported himself led me to believe what many others believe. He's already recruiting against the roster. And I would expect that after you get done at Ole Miss. I think at LSU, you probably would get those conversations about, hey, dog, we're paying you now. Like, we're paying you. We're paying the buyout, all of it. I think if there's not a very clear understanding between both sides of just what you're going to do, then you can't do it. And it takes a special kind of person to do that in the first place. And frankly, most of those people ain't football coaches. Like, I enjoy talking about football because I love football, but I also know who owns my mortgage. I know who I pay for the electric bill. I know what a gallon of gas costs. I know what the price of milk is at the grocery store. I know what it would cost to take someone out on a date. Like, all those things that head coaches no longer have to think about. I got to dress myself. You know what I'm saying? And do this show, write my own copy, all those sorts of things. Football coaches, one track mind. They're about coaching ball. They're about being the best at coaching ball. It means they're probably not going to be the best at some other things. That said, perhaps navigating these interpersonal situations where you have peers that you got to answer to that don't coach football and don't see the world the way you do, like, say, athletic directors and donors, fans, that it might not be your strong suit. So maybe you're not the guy to coach 2 teams at once, even for a month. And maybe they don't want to trust you to do that. These are questions that need to be answered at Oregon. I know that Will Stein has been one of the reasons that Oregon has been so good over the last 3 years. And I always expected this opportunity to come for him. I didn't expect it to be Kentucky. I thought it would be another job, maybe a little bit further along. I know the Louisville job is probably close to his heart, and you got to watch your back if you're Kentucky about that dude returning home if they decide to get off of Jeff Brom, because that's what Jeff Brom did at Purdue. And nothing like guys getting to coach their alma maters. Like Brent Key getting to coach at Georgia Tech because he wants to be at Georgia Tech. Like, that's he graduated from Georgia Tech. That's got a lot to do with it. Going back home to a place you know and a place that you are beloved. I enjoy that. Getting to go back to the state of Kentucky where he's going to be feted as the boy who came home. Hell yeah. I'm happy for Will Stein. As for Oregon, do what you can, figure it out. I don't think it's the end all be all if he can't coach the offense. I really don't. I think you got guys on staff that can do that. Now the question becomes, are you willing to allow that to happen? Ooh, man.